upset. Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to share with you a simple but powerful truth. Your body is designed to heal, to repair, upset, and to become stronger if you give it the right conditions. Upset. When we talk about getting stronger every day and achieving lasting vitality, upset. There is one hormone that sits at the very center of the conversation, insulin, upset. Most people have heard of insulin in connection with diabetes, upset. But what many don't realize is that insulin is not just about blood sugar, upset. It is the master switch that determines whether your body stores energy or burns it, whether you feel tired or energized, upset, and whether you experience constant cravings or genuine satiety, upset. Insulin functions almost like a traffic cop for fuel in your body. When you eat, especially carbohydrates and sugars, upset. Insulin rises. Its job is to escort glucose from the bloodstream into your cells for immediate use, or if there is an excess, upset, into storage as fat. If this system worked only occasionally, there wouldn't be a problem, upset. But the way most people eat, snacking between meals, consuming refined carbohydrates, upset. Drinking sugary beverages keeps insulin elevated throughout the day. And when insulin stays high, upset, it locks fat away so you can't access it as fuel, upset. That's why even though people may technically have thousands of calories stored in fat, upset, they feel like they're starving every few hours and need another snack to function, upset. The body is simply not allowed to dip into its reserves because insulin is constantly saying, store, upset, don't burn. This is the hidden trap that makes people feel sluggish, moody, upset, and dependent on stimulants like caffeine or sugar to get through the day. Elevated insulin doesn't just affect weight, upset. It also influences inflammation, blood pressure, and even cognitive function. Brain fog, for example, upset, is often tied not just to poor sleep, but to unstable blood sugar swings driven by insulin mismanagement, upset. When insulin spikes and then crashes, the brain doesn't get steady fuel. Instead, you experience dips in focus, irritability, upset, and cravings. It becomes a vicious cycle that repeats over and over again, upset. The turning point comes when you begin to lower insulin. This isn't about cutting all food or starving yourself, upset. It's about reducing the frequency and type of foods that cause insulin to surge. When insulin levels drop, upset, the body is finally allowed to access its stored fat. And when fat is burned, you get a cleaner, more stable source of fuel, upset. Unlike sugar, which spikes and drops, fat provides a slow, sustained release of energy, upset. That's why people who manage their insulin properly often describe a sense of mental clarity, steadier moods, upset, and a surprising lack of hunger, upset. It feels like a fog has lifted because the body is no longer riding a roller coaster of sugar highs and lows, upset. Another benefit of lowering insulin is reducing inflammation, upset. High insulin drives the production of certain compounds that trigger fluid retention and inflammatory pathways, upset. Many people notice that when they cut back on insulin, spiking foods, swelling goes down, joint pain improves, and energy returns, upset. This is not magic. It's simply the body being allowed to return to its natural balance, upset. Insulin also impacts hormones beyond blood sugar. It interacts with cortisol, the stress hormone, upset, and can disrupt the delicate balance of reproductive and thyroid hormones, upset. This explains why people struggling with stubborn weight, fatigue, upset, or hormonal imbalances often see improvement when they focus first on insulin. By addressing the master switch, upset, they are indirectly correcting multiple other systems. The practical steps to control insulin are surprisingly simple, upset, though they require consistency. Start by cutting out refined carbohydrates, white bread, pasta, pastries, and sugary drinks, upset. Replace them with whole, nutrient-dense foods that don't spike insulin in the same way leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, upset. healthy fats like olive oil and avocado, and proteins from clean sources. Just as important, avoid constant snacking. Upset. Every time you eat even a small bite, insulin rises. By spacing out meals and allowing gaps between them, upset. Insulin gets a chance to come down. That's when fat burning begins. Upset. Many people are amazed to discover that once their body adapts, upset, they can go several hours without food and feel perfectly fine, sometimes even more energized than when they were eating constantly. Upset. In the end, controlling insulin is not about restriction or willpower. Upset. It is about restoring communication between your body and its fuel system. When insulin is balanced, upset, you regain access to the energy you already have stored, you stabilize your mood, upset, and you begin to feel vitality building day by day. It's like flipping a switch from survival mode to thriving mode, upset. And it all starts with giving insulin the respect and attention it deserves. Intermittent fasting is often misunderstood because the term fasting brings up images of deprivation, upset, hunger, and going without. But in reality, intermittent fasting is not about starvation at all, upset. It is about creating space for the body to do what it was designed to do: repair, recycle, and rejuvenate. Every time we eat, upset. Especially if it involves carbohydrates, the body prioritizes digestion, nutrient absorption, and insulin management. Upset. This is important, but when eating happens constantly, the body spends almost all of its time in storage mode. Upset. The result is that the other side of metabolism, repair and recovery, rarely gets switched on. Upset. Intermittent fasting is simply the practice of extending the periods between meals so the body can transition away from storing and toward healing. Upset. The remarkable thing is that this shift activates processes at the cellular level that many people don't realize are happening. Upset. One of the most important is called autophagy, which literally means self-eating. Autophagy is how cells clean house. Old, upset. Damaged proteins and cellular components are broken down and recycled into new parts. Upset. Think of it like spring cleaning inside the body. Without regular activation of this mechanism, cellular junk accumulates, upset, leading to sluggish performance, premature aging, and a greater risk of disease. By extending the gap between meals, upset, intermittent fasting allows autophagy to run more effectively, almost like pressing a reset button for your cells. Upset. Another powerful effect of fasting is on hormones. During eating, insulin rises to help store fuel. But when you fast, upset, insulin levels fall, and this is when fat burning is unlocked. At the same time, growth hormone increases, upset, supporting muscle preservation and repair, upset. This balance creates a unique environment where the body is not just burning fuel, but actively improving its structures, upset. Many people notice that when they adopt intermittent fasting, they lose fat while holding on to lean muscle, upset, which is a sign that the body is working with efficiency rather than breaking down, upset. The benefits are not only physical but also mental. With constant eating, the brain is tied to glucose spikes and crashes, upset, which cause fatigue, irritability, and poor focus. In contrast, when fasting allows fat metabolism to take over, upset, the brain begins to run on ketones, a cleaner and more efficient fuel, upset. People often describe a surprising sense of mental clarity, sharper focus, and calm energy during fasting hours, upset. Instead of fighting through brain fog, they feel alert and stable, upset. This is one reason why fasting has been linked to improved cognitive performance and resilience against neurodegenerative changes, upset. Intermittent fasting also brings digestive rest. Modern diets overload the digestive system with constant work, upset, from breakfast through late-night snacks. This burden can leave people feeling bloated, tired, and nutrient depleted, upset. Giving the digestive system a break improves efficiency, reduces inflammation in the gut, upset, and allows better nutrient absorption when you do eat. Upset. It's not about eating less, but about eating smarter, choosing nutrient-dense foods during the eating window so the body has exactly what it needs to rebuild and repair. Upset. It's important to emphasize that intermittent fasting is flexible. For beginners, upset. Simply eliminating snacks and sticking to 3 meals a day is enough to see improvements. Over time, upset. Many shift into a pattern of 2 meals per day, often called 16-8 fasting, upset, where they eat during an 8-hour window and fast for 16. Others go further, upset. But the key is to start gradually and let the body adapt, upset. The goal is not to force suffering, but to align with the body's natural rhythm, upset, which is designed to handle periods of eating and periods of not eating, upset. What surprises people most is how fasting reduces hunger over time. At first, upset. It seems counterintuitive that eating less frequently would make you less hungry, upset. But when insulin stabilizes and fat becomes the primary fuel, cravings diminish and energy remains steady, upset. The compulsion to snack fades because the body finally has access to its vast energy reserves, upset. This is why intermittent fasting often feels liberating rather than restrictive. In short, upset. Intermittent fasting is a practice that unlocks the body's built-in healing mechanisms, upset. By allowing longer breaks between meals, you reduce insulin, trigger cellular repair, improve mental clarity, upset, and support better digestion. It is a tool not just for weight management, but for lasting vitality, upset. Giving your body the environment it needs to stay younger, stronger, upset, and more resilient every day. When most people think about food, they focus on calories, upset. The common belief is that as long as you manage how many calories you eat versus how many you burn, upset, you will be healthy and maintain your weight. But the truth is, the body does not operate like a simple calculator. It is far more complex, upset. And the type of food you eat has a much greater impact on your health and vitality than the raw number of calories, upset. This is where the concept of nutrient density comes in. Nutrient-dense foods are those that pack the highest amount of vitamins, upset, minerals, trace elements, and phytonutrients relative to their calorie content. In contrast, upset. Calorie-dense foods may provide a lot of energy, but very little nutrition, upset. The difference between the two is what separates someone who feels sluggish, constantly hungry, upset, and inflamed from someone who feels energized, satisfied, and strong. Imagine 2 meals, upset. One is a fast food burger with fries and soda, and the other is a large salad with leafy greens, upset. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and kale, some avocado for healthy fats, and a portion of wild-caught salmon, upset. Both meals might add up to a similar calorie count, but the effect on your body is completely different, upset. The burger and fries are calorie-dense but nutrient-poor, upset, meaning your body takes in energy but very little in the way of the raw materials needed for cellular repair, hormone production, upset, and detoxification. As a result, even after eating, upset. Your body sends out signals of hunger because it still lacks the nutrients it was hoping to get. On the other hand, upset, the salad and salmon meal is nutrient-dense. It provides not just energy, but also vitamins A, C, K, B vitamins, upset. Minerals like magnesium, potassium, and zinc, along with omega-3 fatty acids and powerful plant compounds, upset. With that kind of meal, your body is satisfied at a deep cellular level. Hunger diminishes because the cells have what they need, upset, and cravings naturally subside. This explains why nutrient-dense eating is so effective for long-term vitality, upset. It reduces overeating not by force or discipline, but by resolving the root issue. The body was never hungry for calories, upset. It was hungry for nutrition. When people shift to nutrient-dense foods, they often notice they feel fuller with less food, upset. They lose weight naturally without obsessing over portion sizes. Upset. They experience more stable energy throughout the day because nutrient-dense foods support steady blood sugar rather than spiking insulin. Upset. The body thrives when the right building blocks are present. Upset. Another critical point is how nutrient-dense foods support the immune system and protect against chronic disease. Vegetables. Upset. Especially leafy greens and cruciferous varieties contain antioxidants that reduce oxidative stress. Upset. One of the drivers of aging and disease. Upset. Minerals like potassium and magnesium regulate blood pressure and support heart function. Omega-3 fats reduce inflammation. Upset. While quality protein provides amino acids for muscle repair and hormone production. Every nutrient plays a role. Upset. And when they come together in balance, vitality becomes the natural outcome. Upset. This is why so many health issues improve when someone shifts from processed, calorie-heavy foods to whole, nutrient-rich foods. Upset. The body is no longer in a constant state of deficiency and stress. It can finally operate at full capacity. Upset. It is also worth noting that nutrient density is not just about adding vegetables. Healthy fats such as olive oil, coconut oil, upset nuts, and seeds are nutrient-rich and provide fat-soluble vitamins and essential fatty acids. Animal products. Upset. When sourced properly, can be highly nutrient-dense, offering vitamin B12, iron, and complete proteins. The key is quality. A grass-fed, wild-caught organic. Upset. And minimally processed foods generally have far greater nutrient density than their industrial counterparts. Upset. Choosing quality over convenience pays dividends in energy, resilience, and longevity. In practice, upset. Focusing on nutrient density means filling the majority of your plate with foods that come from nature, not factories. Upset. Think of dark leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, brightly colored vegetables, healthy fats, and clean proteins. Upset. When you shift your perspective from how many calories am I eating to how many nutrients am I delivering to my body, your entire relationship with food changes. Upset. Eating becomes less about restriction and more about nourishment. Over time, upset. This not only transforms your health, but also your mindset as you begin to associate food with empowerment rather than guilt. Upset. Ultimately, nutrient-dense eating is the foundation of lasting vitality. It ensures that every cell, every organ, upset, and every system in your body has what it needs to perform at its best. Upset. When you consistently give your body high-quality raw materials, it responds with energy, clarity, and resilience. Upset. The goal is not to eat less, but to eat better, to provide food that strengthens rather than weakens. Upset. This is the secret to being stronger every day. Upset. And it starts with choosing nutrient density over empty calories. When people think about energy, upset. They often picture physical stamina, the ability to get through the day without fatigue, or the power to push harder at the gym. Upset. But energy is not only about what you eat or how much you sleep, it is deeply connected to how your body manages stress. Upset. Stress is not inherently bad. Short bursts of stress can actually sharpen focus and improve performance. Upset. The problem arises when stress becomes chronic. Upset. When the body is constantly exposed to pressures without adequate time to recover. In that state, upset. A cycle begins where energy is drained faster than it can be replenished and vitality slowly fades. Upset. Understanding and breaking this stress-energy loop is essential for lasting strength. When you are under stress, upset. Your body releases cortisol, a hormone that helps mobilize energy and sharpen alertness. In small amounts, upset. Cortisol is incredibly useful. But when cortisol levels remain elevated for long periods due to work pressures, upset. Financial worries, lack of sleep, or even constant exposure to digital stimulation. The effects become destructive. Upset. High cortisol disrupts sleep cycles, weakens immune function. increases blood sugar, upset, and promotes fat storage around the midsection. Instead of feeling sharp and energized, you feel wired but tired, upset, restless yet exhausted. Over time, this pattern erodes both physical and mental health, upset. The connection between stress and energy is often misunderstood, upset. Many people think that pushing harder and staying busy is a sign of productivity, but in reality, upset. It is like spending money you do not have. The body has a finite capacity to handle stress. When it is used up, upset, you start experiencing burnout symptoms, constant fatigue, brain fog, mood swings, upset, and cravings for quick fixes like sugar and caffeine. These cravings are not signs of weakness, upset. They are your body's attempt to find fast fuel because the deeper energy systems are compromised, upset. The tragedy is that the very things people turn to for relief often make the situation worse. Sugar spikes insulin, upset, creating crashes. Caffeine overstimulates the adrenals, adding even more pressure to an already stressed system, upset. The way out is not about eliminating all stress. That would be impossible and even undesirable. The key is balance, upset. Just as muscles grow stronger when you alternate between exertion and rest, upset. Your energy systems thrive when stress is followed by true recovery, upset. Recovery is not merely sitting on the couch scrolling through a phone, upset. It involves practices that actually lower cortisol and restore equilibrium. Deep breathing, meditation, prayer, upset. Or simply walking in nature can shift the nervous system from fight or flight into rest and digest, upset. This shift allows the body to repair, hormones to rebalance, and energy reserves to be restored, upset. Quality sleep is another pillar of recovery. During deep sleep, the brain clears toxins, memories consolidate, upset, and the body repairs tissue, upset. Skimping on sleep while trying to manage stress is like trying to refill a tank with a hole at the bottom, upset. Nutrition also plays a vital role in breaking the stress-energy loop. Stress depletes key nutrients such as magnesium, upset, potassium, vitamin C, and B vitamins, replenishing these through whole, upset. Nutrient-dense food supports the nervous system and improves resilience. Leafy greens, nuts, seeds, upset. And high-quality proteins provide the raw materials the body needs to recover. Hydration is equally important, upset, as even mild dehydration raises cortisol and makes fatigue worse. Exercise, when done in moderation, is another tool, upset. Gentle movement like walking, yoga, or strength training helps release built-up tension and balance hormones. However, upset, overtraining in a stressed state only deepens the fatigue, upset. So the intensity of exercise should match the body's current capacity, upset. One of the most overlooked aspects of recovery is mindset, upset. Many people carry stress not because of actual circumstances, but because of how they interpret them. Practicing gratitude, upset. Shifting perspective and focusing on solutions rather than problems can dramatically reduce perceived stress, upset. The body reacts strongly to perception, upset. So learning to reframe challenges as opportunities for growth changes the hormonal response and protects energy reserves, upset. Breaking the stress-energy loop requires conscious choices. It means respecting recovery as much as productivity, upset. It means prioritizing sleep, embracing nutrient-rich foods, practicing relaxation techniques, upset. And allowing the body to cycle naturally between stress and restoration. When this balance is achieved, upset. Cortisol becomes an ally rather than a constant enemy, and energy flows steadily instead of in erratic bursts, upset. The result is resilience, the ability to handle life's demands without being drained by them, upset. This is not about avoiding stress altogether, but about mastering it so that it strengthens you instead of weakening you, upset. By honoring both stress and recovery, you give your body the chance to rebuild stronger every day, upset. Creating a foundation for lasting vitality and true strength, the human body is not a machine that can be forced into health by willpower alone. Upset. It is a living system governed by biology, chemistry, and natural rhythms. Too often, upset. People try to override these systems with extreme diets, stimulants, or quick fixes, but in the end, the body always wins. Upset. Working with, not against your biology is the key to building vitality that lasts. Upset. This begins with understanding how the body is designed to function and aligning your habits with those natural processes instead of fighting them. Upset. Take hunger as an example. Many assume hunger is simply about an empty stomach, but in reality, it is controlled by hormones. Upset. Ghrelin signals hunger while leptin signals fullness. When these hormones are balanced, upset. You eat when you need to and stop when you've had enough. But when processed foods, constant snacking, upset, and sugar disrupt these hormones, hunger becomes erratic. You may feel hungry even after a meal or crave food late at night. Upset. Instead of blaming yourself for a lack of discipline, the smarter path is to restore hormonal balance. Upset. That means choosing whole foods that stabilize insulin, spacing meals to give leptin time to work. Upset. And reducing the addictive foods that hijack the brain. When you work with biology, hunger naturally regulates without effort. Upset. Another example is energy production. The body has two main fuel systems, sugar and fat. Sugar is quick but unstable, upset, while fat is slow, burning, and steady. Upset. Most people live in sugar burning mode because they eat frequently and rely on refined carbs. Upset. This leaves them crashing every few hours, constantly searching for their next energy hit. Upset. But the body is designed to run on fat as its primary long-term fuel. By lowering insulin and practicing intermittent fasting, upset. You allow fat metabolism to turn on. This shift produces ketones, which the brain loves as a clean, efficient fuel. Upset. Instead of fighting fatigue with caffeine or snacks, you align with your biology and tap into a built-in source of endurance. Upset. Sleep is another area where alignment makes all the difference. Upset. Your body operates on circadian rhythms, internal clocks that regulate hormone release, digestion, and cellular repair. Upset. Ignoring these rhythms by staying up late under artificial light or eating heavy meals at night creates stress and poor recovery. Upset. Working with biology means respecting the natural cues, getting morning sunlight to reset the clock, winding down before bed. Upset. And allowing deep sleep cycles to unfold. When you honor these rhythms, sleep becomes restorative, hormones balance. Upset. And daytime energy rises without artificial stimulation. Stress management follows the same principle. Upset. The fight or flight response is designed for short-term survival, not long-term living. Upset. Yet many people keep themselves in that state all day, fueled by constant notifications, deadlines, and worry. Upset. Cortisol remains elevated, draining energy and harming health. Upset. Working with biology means activating the body's rest and digest state through practices like deep breathing. Upset. Walking in nature or mindful reflection. This isn't just relaxation, it's a biological necessity. By honoring this cycle, upset, you allow your nervous system to reset and prevent chronic exhaustion. Nutrition, too, is about alignment. Upset. The human body was never built to handle ultra-processed, chemical-laden foods. For most of history, upset. People thrived on nutrient-dense plants, quality proteins, and healthy fats. Upset. Returning to these foods is not a trend, but a reconnection to what biology expects. Each vitamin, mineral, upset. An antioxidant has a role in supporting enzymes, hormones, and cellular function. When you provide these building blocks, upset, the body does what it is designed to do: repair, regenerate, and grow stronger. Ultimately, vitality comes from cooperation, upset, not control. Fighting cravings, battling fatigue, or forcing results through extremes only creates frustration, upset. But when you understand how your body works and support it with the right environment, the struggle disappears. Upset. Hunger stabilizes, energy becomes steady, sleep deepens, and stress lessens. The body is not your enemy. Upset. It is your greatest ally. By listening to it, respecting its design, and making choices that work with its natural systems, upset, you unlock the ability to thrive day after day. This is the essence of lasting strength. Upset. Not forcing outcomes, but flowing with the biology that has always been programmed to keep you alive, healthy. Upset. And strong strength is not something that happens overnight. It is built gradually, step by step. Upset. Through the choices you make each day. Upset. Many people set out with the idea that transformation requires a massive overhaul or extreme effort. Upset. But the reality is that lasting vitality is the result of small, consistent actions that compound over time. Upset. The body responds not to what you do once in a while, but to what you do regularly. Each positive choice, even if it seems minor, upset, sends a signal to your biology, and over weeks and months, those signals accumulate into real, visible change. Upset. Consider the example of meal timing. If you stop snacking between meals, upset. That one small shift reduces the frequency of insulin spikes. It may not feel dramatic in the moment, but repeated day after day, upset. Your insulin sensitivity improves, fat burning activates more easily, and cravings begin to diminish. This one adjustment, upset, multiplied over weeks, can completely transform how your body handles energy. Upset. The same is true for adding more leafy greens or cruciferous vegetables to your plate. One serving will not change your life. Upset. But consistently flooding your body with minerals, vitamins, upset. And phytonutrients builds resilience that protects you against fatigue, disease, and aging. Upset. Strength also comes from practicing patience with your body. Too often, upset. People get discouraged if they don't see rapid results and fall back into old habits. Upset. But biology does not operate on a quick, fixed timeline. Hormones need time to rebalance. Upset. Fat adaptation requires weeks of steady practice, and the nervous system rewires itself slowly in response to new routines. Upset. By committing to small, steady changes, you allow your body the space to adapt naturally. Over time, upset. You begin to notice subtle shifts, more stable energy in the afternoon, better focus in the morning, deeper sleep at night. Upset. These are signs that strength is building layer by layer. Upset. The principle of becoming stronger every day also applies to stress and recovery. Upset. 5 minutes of deep breathing may not seem like much, but practice daily. Upset. It lowers baseline cortisol and strengthens your resilience to future challenges. Upset. A short walk after dinner may appear insignificant, yet repeated daily it improves digestion, blood sugar control. Upset. And circulation. These actions are cumulative. Each repetition adds to your foundation. Upset. Just as a muscle grows not from one workout, but from repeated training and recovery, upset. Vitality emerges from repeated nurturing of the body and mind. Another important aspect of daily strength building is mindset. Upset. Each time you choose to view food as nourishment instead of a source of guilt. Upset. You reinforce a healthier relationship with eating. Upset. Each time you shift your perspective from I can't to I'm learning, you build mental flexibility. Upset. These small mental adjustments accumulate into emotional resilience, which in turn supports physical health. Upset. The body and mind are not separate. The way you think influences hormones, stress levels, and even immunity. Upset. This means that becoming stronger every day is not just about diet or exercise, but also about cultivating thoughts and habits that align with vitality. Upset. It is also important to recognize that consistency outweighs intensity. Upset. Doing something extreme for a short time often leads to burnout, while modest, upset. Sustainable changes practiced consistently create momentum that carries you forward. Drinking water first thing in the morning, upset. Prioritizing sleep, choosing nutrient-dense foods, fasting between meals, walking regularly, upset. And practicing gratitude may each seem small, but when combined and sustained, upset. They create a life where vitality is not forced, but automatic, upset. The compounding effect of these choices is what makes the difference between short-term improvements and lasting transformation, upset. Ultimately, the path to lasting vitality is about honoring the process. Every day offers an opportunity to take one step, upset, however small, in the direction of health, upset. Each step builds upon the last until strength is no longer something you are chasing, but something you embody, upset. This is how you grow stronger every day through patience, consistency, upset, and trust in the body's ability to adapt and thrive when given the right environment,